Few clubs can capture the imagination like Barcelona, a team synonymous with flair, tradition, and unrivaled success. But behind the iconic colors and legendary players lies a story of turbulent leadership, financial struggles, and constant reinvention. From political conflicts to modern financial crises, Barcelona's journey has been as complex as it is captivating. In today's video, we're diving deep into the highs and lows of Barcelona's unique legacy, unraveling the decisions and controversies that have shaped this more than a club, and exploring what the future holds for one of football's greatest dynasties. Let's get started. Barcelona has long been a club of intrigue and paradox. They've often been regarded as one of the world's greatest clubs, boasting squads that seem invincible. Yet, their leadership and management have frequently left fans baffled, wondering how a club this prominent can simultaneously face so many issues while still staying competitive. Over the years, their ability to produce world-class talent at an astounding rate has fueled their success. Even now, the emerging talents like Lamine Yamal, Gavi, Pedri, Pau Cubarsí, Fermin Lopez, and Marc Bernal promise to keep the club relevant for years to come. Some argue, however, that this exceptional talent pipeline has hidden flaws within their management. Financial and structural troubles have haunted Barcelona repeatedly over the last century, but somehow, they've always found a way to make things work. In recent decades, three individuals have largely shaped the club's direction: Joan Laporta, Josep Bartomeu, and Sandro Rosell. These figures have made headline-grabbing moves, like signing expensive players despite financial constraints, depending on loopholes to register them, and allegedly engaging in controversial practices, including referee-related scandals. The recurring musical chairs of these leaders have sparked both criticism and intrigue, as history seems on the verge of repeating itself under Joan Laporta. In contrast, other clubs offer different models of operation. Real Madrid is widely respected for its stability and strategic planning, while Manchester United is known for economic prowess, even if recent sporting success is lacking. Barcelona, by contrast, remains a club of inconsistencies, balancing immense global prestige with underlying volatility. With the new €1.5 billion Camp Nou, there's hope that they'll follow Real Madrid's footsteps toward financial stability, boosted by the latter's success with the revamped Santiago Bernabéu. In this video, we're exploring Barcelona's historical leadership and business decisions, focusing on the characters and choices that have defined the club, often away from the pitch. Barcelona, unlike most clubs of its stature, has been deeply affected by political and social dynamics. To understand this, we need to travel back to the 1930s. With 27 La Liga titles, 31 Copa del Rey trophies, 14 Spanish Super Cups, and 5 Champions League victories, Barcelona has always been a football powerhouse. Yet, for many, their cultural significance far surpasses their trophy count. The motto, "more than a club," resonates strongly, especially as Barcelona has represented Catalan nationalism, particularly during the Franco dictatorship, symbolizing identity and freedom. Barcelona's challenges began during the Spanish Civil War in 1936. Seen as a Catalan institution, the club opposed Franco's regime, facing serious repercussions as a result. Josep Sunol, then president of the club, was executed by Franco's forces in 1936. In 1938, the club's headquarters were bombed by Benito Mussolini. By 1940, Franco's allies had taken control, altering the club's name and badge to eliminate Catalan elements, emphasizing a Spanish identity. Despite these hardships, Barcelona's spirit endured, as sports can often unify communities in tough times. In the 1950s, Barcelona began seeing on-field success, winning multiple Copa del Rey titles and La Liga championships. Fan numbers surged, from a low of 3,500 during the Civil War to about 30,000 by the 1950s. This rising popularity led to the construction of Camp Nou, which opened in 1957, accommodating 90,000 fans but bringing a heavy financial burden. The building costs skyrocketed, leaving Barcelona in debt, a recurring theme in their history. The club then hit a rough patch, with Real Madrid thriving in Europe, only adding to Barcelona's struggles. But in 1973, the arrival of Johan Cruyff, the world record signing from Ajax, provided hope. His success, however, was short-lived, and internal conflicts led to his departure in 1978. Following Franco's death in 1975, Spain entered a new democratic era, allowing Barcelona to become a democratically run institution. In 1978, Barcelona held its first open elections. The priorities were clear: financial stability, sporting success, and a reduction in political interference. However, these goals have proven elusive. In a closely contested election, outsider Josep Luis Nunez emerged victorious. Although his real estate background was considered an asset, his presidency was marked by tensions between business ambitions and the club's Catalan identity. Nunez expanded the club's infrastructure, including creating La Masia in 1979, a residence for young players. However, his leadership style was polarizing. His tight control, particularly on financial matters, led to the departure of stars like Diego Maradona and, later, Luis Figo. In the 1980s, Barcelona's income relied heavily on matchday revenue. Unlike today, broadcasting and merchandising weren't major revenue streams, so the club needed a careful approach to spending. Still, Nunez sought Champions League success, despite his frugality leading to occasional poor investments. In 1987, Josep Luis Nunez introduced an innovative but controversial policy to help Barcelona save on player salary taxes. By splitting player earnings into wages and image rights, the club could pay significantly less tax. This arrangement benefited both the players, who took home a larger share, and the club, which saved on costs. However, Spanish authorities soon began scrutinizing the arrangement, concluding it violated La Liga's regulations. Barcelona had to revert to the original wage structure, but not without backlash. Players demanded that Nunez compensate them for their reduced income. Instead, Nunez dismissed these demands and even requested that players return the excess they'd received under the model. Tensions boiled over. By 1988, the discontent reached a breaking point. With the team languishing in sixth place, manager Luis Aragonés and the squad held a meeting at the Hesperia Hotel to protest Nunez's leadership. Players accused Nunez of disregarding the club's core values and demanded his resignation. Surprisingly, many fans sided with Nunez, leading to Aragonés' dismissal and several players' departures. Nunez retained power but acknowledged the need for change. Enter Johan Cruyff. Returning as manager, Cruyff launched a transformative project focused on nurturing youth talent and establishing a unified playing philosophy across Barcelona's teams. This approach resonated with Nunez's goal of globalizing Barcelona's brand. Cruyff's commitment to the club and Catalan identity, even naming his son Jordi, a traditional Catalan name, symbolized his deep connection. His tactical philosophy produced players like Pep Guardiola and established a dream team that would define Barcelona's success for years. Within 3 years, Barcelona reclaimed the La Liga title and went on to win 3 more consecutively. By 1992, they achieved their first Champions League title, elevating the club's international stature and financial stability. However, Nunez and Cruyff's partnership wasn't without friction. Nunez's strict control over finances clashed with Cruyff's demands for new talent, eventually leading to Cruyff's dismissal in 1996. Fans were outraged. This decision and Nunez's commercial policies fueled criticisms outlined in the 1986 Blaugrana Manifesto, advocating for the club's Catalan identity, democratic governance, and transparency. The manifesto influenced a new opposition group, l'Elefante Blau, led by lawyer Joan Laporta. In 1998, l'Elefante Blau organized a vote of no confidence against Nunez. Though he survived, the internal discord was evident. After a turbulent tenure, Nunez stepped down in 2000, succeeded by his longtime vice president, Joan Gaspart. Gaspart's presidency saw high-profile signings like Marc Overmars and Emmanuel Petit, but little success. Financial mismanagement pushed Barcelona back into debt, and Luis Figo's controversial transfer to Real Madrid in 2000 deepened fan unrest. When Figo returned to Camp Nou with Real Madrid, the match turned hostile with fans, especially the radical Boixos Noise Ultras, hurling objects, including a pig's head, onto the pitch, tarnishing Barcelona's image. In response, Gaspart attempted to restore order by rehiring coach Louis van Gaal. While Van Gaal had previously introduced key players like Xavi and Carles Puyol, his return only exacerbated the club's internal conflicts. His demanding personality drove players away and added to the mounting toxicity at Barcelona. These years marked one of the club's most tumultuous periods, exposing flaws in leadership and leaving the club struggling to find stability amidst a turbulent environment. In 2003, as Barcelona languished in the lower half of La Liga, fan dissatisfaction grew louder with each disappointing result. Players were discontented with their roles, and supporters' protests became a regular scene as the club struggled to regain its footing. Eventually, the situation became untenable, and Joan Gaspart, unable to reverse the club's fortunes, resigned shortly after coach Louis van Gaal was dismissed mid-season. Many consider Gaspart's presidency one of the club's darkest eras, marked by mismanagement, internal discord, and financial instability. By then, Barcelona's wage bill had ballooned to consume over 80% of its income, creating a financial bottleneck. With Gaspart's exit, a new election ushered in Joan Laporta, a fresh face with a vision to revitalize the club. A lawyer and Barcelona native, Laporta brought hope to fans with his bold, practical approach, aiming to cut ties with negative influences, such as banning the controversial Boixos Noise Ultras group from Camp Nou, something his predecessors had never dared. Laporta's election campaign famously included a promise to sign David Beckham, despite rumors linking Beckham to Real Madrid. While the bid ultimately failed, Laporta quickly shifted focus to a player who would prove invaluable to Barcelona's future: Ronaldinho. But Laporta's challenges extended far beyond securing star talent. The club was in serious debt, with revenue lagging far behind other European giants. He immediately set to work stabilizing finances by reducing the wage bill, renegotiating contracts, and professionalizing the club's management. Laporta's strategy included signing players within a sustainable wage structure, and his choice of Frank Rijkaard as manager proved instrumental in reviving Barcelona's fortunes. Under Rijkaard's leadership and Ronaldinho's brilliance, Barcelona finished the 2003-2004 season in second place, marking a swift turnaround from the previous year's relegation scare. The additions of key players like Deco and Samuel Eto'o, alongside rising stars from La Masia like Xavi, Iniesta, and the young Lionel Messi, propelled the club back to La Liga dominance. By the 2004-2005 season, Barcelona had reclaimed the La Liga title, with the success extending into the 2005-2006 season, capped by a Champions League victory. Laporta's initial tenure was celebrated as Barcelona's Renaissance, a period marked by financial recovery and on-field triumphs. However, tensions simmered within the club's leadership. Some board members, including former Vice President Sandro Rosell, criticized Laporta's management style as too unilateral, leading to high-profile resignations in 2005. The revelation of Laporta's brother-in-law's ties to Francoist sympathies also sparked controversy, leading to further resignations. Barcelona's performance dipped in the 2007-2008 season, finishing third in La Liga and losing to Manchester United in the Champions League semi-finals. Fan and board discontent resulted in a vote of no confidence, which Laporta narrowly survived, garnering 61% of the vote against him. Undeterred, Laporta renewed his commitment to his vision, and in 2008, he made a pivotal decision that would transform Barcelona: the appointment of Pep Guardiola as head coach. Guardiola's tenure, beginning with a historic treble in 2009, catapulted Barcelona into a new era of success, setting the club as the gold standard in modern football. By 2010, Laporta's presidency had elevated the club's revenue from €123 million to €400 million. Yet, Barcelona's statutes limited the president to 2 consecutive terms, so Laporta had to step down. His former vice president, Sandro Rosell, positioned himself as the frontrunner in the subsequent election, advocating for financial responsibility and a return to traditional values. However, one of his earliest moves contradicted this ethos, securing the Qatar Foundation as Barcelona's first-ever commercial shirt sponsor, a marked departure from the club's long-standing tradition. Upon taking office, Rosell claimed the financial challenges left by Laporta were even graver than disclosed. The Qatar Foundation sponsorship brought an annual €30 million boost, aiming to help stabilize the club's finances. This pragmatic shift marked a new chapter in Barcelona's intricate financial and sporting landscape. The controversies surrounding Sandro Rosell's successor, Josep Maria Bartomeu, only intensified. One of the first major challenges Bartomeu faced was the transfer of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, a high-profile acquisition that ended in a costly dispute, marking a troubling start. Soon after, sporting director Txiki Begiristain, a key figure behind Barcelona's most successful years, departed and went on to replicate his success at Manchester City. Then came Neymar's transfer in 2013, a landmark signing, yet laden with undisclosed payments and contractual ambiguities. This deal sparked multiple legal inquiries into financial misconduct. Although most of the cases were eventually dropped, they added to the tension around Bartomeu's tenure. By 2014, under increasing scrutiny, Rosell resigned, making way for Bartomeu, who initially enjoyed success as Barcelona won a historic treble under Luis Enrique. Although some attributed this success to Rosell's foundation, Bartomeu garnered the accolades, especially as Barcelona continued to dominate Spanish football. Commercially, Bartomeu secured lucrative deals, including a $55 million per year sponsorship with Rakuten, and launched the Espai Barca project to revamp Camp Nou, aimed at boosting matchday revenue and enhancing fan experiences. However, the ghost of Neymar's transfer scandal resurfaced, and Bartomeu faced accusations of tax deception tied to the deal. In 2017, Neymar's departure to PSG, despite Barcelona's efforts to retain him, triggered a cascade of challenges. The club received a substantial €230 million from the transfer, but the funds were quickly reinvested in record-breaking signings, including Philippe Coutinho, Ousmane Dembele, and later Antoine Griezmann. Unfortunately, none of these signings delivered as hoped. Injury-prone, incompatible with Barcelona's playing style, or simply ineffective, these players failed to justify their enormous fees. By this time, Barcelona's wage bill was spiraling out of control, reaching an unsustainable €420 million, well above Real Madrid's €350 million. The disappointing performances culminated in humiliating Champions League exits, including a 4-0 loss to Liverpool in 2019 and an 8-2 defeat by Bayern Munich in 2020, and relations with Lionel Messi began to deteriorate. Messi felt that Bartomeu had broken promises, from player acquisitions to the club's competitive strategy. In 2020, the i3 Ventures scandal, or Barcagate, emerged. It was alleged that FC Barcelona hired a third-party company to manage social media accounts that disparaged individuals critical of Bartomeu, including Messi, Gerard Piqué, and former figures like Pep Guardiola. These accounts sought to tarnish their reputations and silence opposition to Bartomeu's administration, creating a toxic atmosphere within the club. Messi's frustration reached a breaking point, leading him to send a formal notice expressing his intent to leave, citing a clause in his contract that he believed allowed him to exit for free. Bartomeu contested the validity of the clause, asserting that any interested club would need to pay the €700 million release fee, a sum no club was prepared to pay. The combination of poor financial health, on-pitch setbacks, and internal strife culminated in a motion of no confidence. Bartomeu, facing a looming vote and overwhelming disapproval, resigned in October 2020, along with his board. Yet even after stepping down, his troubles followed him. In early 2021, Spanish police raided FC Barcelona's offices as part of the Barcagate investigation, leading to the arrest of Bartomeu and other former executives, further deepening the club's crisis and casting a shadow over his legacy. Following months of turmoil, discontent, and leadership missteps, Joan Laporta made a dramatic comeback in March 2021, winning the FC Barcelona presidential election and pledging to restore the club's stability. Laporta's campaign resonated with supporters who remembered his successful first tenure, and he returned with a significant mandate. However, upon reassuming office, he encountered the harsh reality of the club's finances. Over €1 billion in debt and an inflated wage bill exceeding 100% of Barcelona's income, violating La Liga's financial regulations. This financial disaster led to one of the most painful chapters in the club's history, the departure of Lionel Messi. With contract negotiations constrained by regulatory and financial roadblocks, Barcelona had to let go of their iconic player. Rumors abound about what happened behind the scenes, from Messi's willingness to take a pay cut to regulatory hurdles that made his retention impossible. Whatever the reasons, Messi's exit left fans heartbroken and financially impacted the club, as many sponsorship deals were tied to his presence. Laporta responded by initiating an exhaustive audit of Barcelona's finances, restructuring debt, and negotiating for reduced interest rates to stave off bankruptcy. To manage immediate cash flow needs, he renegotiated senior players' salaries and deferred portions of their wages, mirroring tactics from his first presidency. Additionally, with the European Super League's collapse, Laporta sought alternative ways to tackle Barcelona's financial woes, employing financial levers that included asset sales and future revenue trades to reduce debt and fund new player registrations. Key moves included selling 25% of Barcelona's La Liga television rights to Sixth Street for a combined €507.5 million, along with divesting stakes in Barça Studios to Socios.com and Orpheus Media, yielding €200 million. Meanwhile, the high-profile sponsorship deal with Spotify rebranded Camp Nou and provided a major revenue infusion, valued at €70 million per year. While these moves offered temporary relief, critics warn of potential long-term risks if the club becomes overly reliant on such one-off solutions. Nonetheless, under Laporta's guidance, Barcelona has maintained competitiveness, with Xavi Hernandez leading the team to a La Liga title in 2022-23. The club has also revitalized its La Masia Youth Academy, bringing forth talent that represents the club's values. Today, Barcelona is in a delicate position, balancing efforts to return to the top of European football while managing financial constraints. Plans for a new 104,000-seat stadium, the new Camp Nou, could significantly increase revenue, with projections of €350 million annually through matchday sales and events. However, questions remain over whether the leadership will learn from past mistakes or repeat history. Adding to the mix is a fresh opposition led by Joan Cambrappi Montal, a member of the Montal family that has long-standing ties to Barcelona. With the slogan Més que un club originating from his grandfather's tenure, Cambrappi Montal's group is pushing for institutional change, advocating for a return to the club's core values and democratic governance. Although a vote of no confidence may not be feasible in the short term, they represent a growing sentiment for new direction. Barcelona's path forward remains uncertain. Laporta's strategy of leveraging assets to stay competitive could yield lasting success or place the club in deeper financial peril. Only time will reveal the impact of his decisions on Barcelona's legacy. In the meantime, the club continues to adapt, and the fans wait to see if this era will usher in another dynasty or another round of challenges. Barcelona's journey is one of passion, resilience, and ambition. A club that's continuously reinvented itself through immense highs and turbulent lows. Will the current leadership guide the team to new heights, or will history repeat itself with fresh challenges? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: Barcelona remains more than just a club, and its legacy will continue to inspire fans around the world. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Barcelona's story, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more insightful football stories. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.